Hello everyone, I'm the Sneezing Monkey, and today I'm bringing you a little bit LA Noire gameplay. I played that game recently, so I thought I share that with you guys because I quite like it, and it was bashed quite a lot by a lot of people I found on the internet that just said it was crap, and I guess their expectations were more along the lines of GTA and also the complexity of GTA, and that somehow wasn't fulfilled, I think. Still, I think it's a great game. And the thing I appreciate most about this game, to be honest, is the face capturing they did. So that every character is actually played by a real person and that all the conversations are acted out with their faces, which are separately scanned from the bodies. So you basically have two phases of motion capturing where you capture the body first and then the faces. And just that created so much more depth to the game, from my point of view at least. You can see in Beyond Two Souls, for instance, which is coming soon, that they have these really gorgeous facial textures on the characters that really work quite well. But still, even the textures in LA Noire are not as good. I feel that the characters are more lively just because of that. I think LA Noire really set like a new benchmark basically for immersiveness of digital characters. However, the company who worked on it, which is Team Bondi or Team Bondi, I'm not sure how to express it to say it correctly. They went broke after this game, so maybe it really was too costly, and that's why you don't see it in any other game besides LA Noire. But I hope that in the future it's going to become standard, and I'm pretty sure it will. Other than that, I can talk a little bit about the gameplay itself. I think this is towards the end of the game. I'm not sure because I haven't finished it yet. And I love these little scenes you see where you have these black stripes on top and bottom, which kind of indicate that it's a noir movie or just a movie in general. And then it switches into the real gameplay, and it really works to bring it to life in a quite cinematic aspect, but it at the same time it seems to restrict you quite a lot because that rail-like experience that you're going down a rail in this game, more or less, is so different from what you see in GTA and comparable titles. So I think it's just a very different game, and it might be wrong to compare the two, to be honest. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't finished it to the end, but you have these guys here, which are his colleagues, and during the game, without spoiling anything now, you go through different careers and you work with different people in different departments of the police in LA. So it is really like a noir film, and that's the great thing about it, and that's how you should see it. It's not an action-packed third-person shooter or some open-world game. It is just a noir game that like a noir movie that you can play essentially, which is amazing. If you don't really know what good noir movies are, I recently watched Chinatown with Jack Nicholson, which is an epic classic, I want to say, and I watched it for the first time. It was recommended to me by a friend, so I recommend watching that. It really captures the same style, and you can see that they drew a lot of inspiration, I think, from that particular movie. Quite a few things in there that are quite interesting if you've played the game. And then you have these scenes, like, which is really disturbing because the game starts off all like nice and cozy, and it's America in the 20s, or 30s, I'm not really sure, but and then suddenly you find these bodies which are like brutally mistreated, and you have to look at them in detail, and it's really disturbing, but that adds another layer to the game, and then it often gets actually quite authentic suddenly, and it feels quite real, and that also adds to you really want to continue to play it because you want to find out who did this to that particular person and find out the story behind it. However, I have to say, after playing it for I think around 10-12 hours now altogether, and you play these games really slow, I take my time, I just feel that the mechanics get slightly repetitive, and it's always kind of the same thing. Like here, you have a body, it always has this left hand, right hand, head and chest. Sometimes you have a small twist on that, but it's basically always like this, and I would have hoped that they come up with a few more mechanics of how you look at the environment and how you research items and look at them closely than they did, because it really gets slightly boring after a while. And I think that was one of the reasons why a lot of people just hated on the game, because it was quite repetitive, and Anyhow, I think it's a great game, and you guys should play it. I'm sure it's gonna be on the Steam Christmas sale or what's coming up next, I believe. So maybe give it a look and play it. It's definitely worth the money, and you're gonna have a good time with it if you like these kind of movies and these kind of stories. So now I'm just walking through this apartment and looking around a bit, and that's what you do a lot in the game. You walk through spaces and you kind of walk along the along the walls until you hear a noise that indicates that there's a hint, and then you click it and you see the hint, and sometimes it's necessary to press X again to look closer to it. I play this with a gamepad, by the way, even I'm a PC player and I play it on the PC. I do prefer the gamepad for this kind of games, just because it doesn't require the quick mouse reactions like a Call of Duty or even like a GTA where you need to react really fast. Here it's more about slow gameplay, slow paced, and just enjoying it rather than just rushing through it. So I think the gamepad is the right choice. Another thing that's not so nice about the game is that after a while, at least that was the case with me, you kind of lose oversight over the cases. So you have always just one case at a time, but you just have so many characters, and especially after you didn't play for a week or two, you just lose oversight of who's who and what's exactly the story, and you just have these, little buzzwords in your head what it was about, and it's very difficult then when you later have to do interviews with the murders or the criminals. You really have to have an understanding of what happened in the case and what evidence you found and how you can use it against that person, because otherwise, you will not be very successful. Also, another thing to mention is that you will always succeed in this game. There is nearly no failing. Only if you really mess up a case or something like this, then it can happen that the case won't end and you have to restart it or something like this. But it never happened to me, and trust me, I had a few interviews with potential murderers or criminals that went really, really bad, and I still always managed to finish the case successfully and at least get someone arrested. And that's another thing. Sometimes if you don't find the evidence, you have two people who are both accused of the same crime, and then if you don't have the evidence, you have to make a decision. Someone has to go down, because you have your boss in this game who's like the police chief of the area or something, and he just wants someone to be arrested so he can put good news on the newspapers and make himself look good. So that's kind of interesting, that sometimes you have to arrest people even you're not sure they've done it, or even they deny they have done it or something like this, and you can't prove it. So that's kind of tricky, and I would have hoped that sometimes if you have these really questionable cases, that you later on can go to when they have to appear in court or something, and take the whole thing a bit deeper and see what happens to these characters and stories, because you just arrest them and then you accuse them of something and they go down in jail or something, and that's, from my point of view, that's not really ideal. Anyway, so I think that's it. I might bring you another gameplay of LA Noire, because I have recorded quite a bit of it, and it's not enough to be a let's play, but it's enough to give you a bit of an insight. It should just give you maybe a little hint or a bit of advice when you consider buying or playing this game, because it takes a lot of time, but I think it's well invested, and you can play it occasionally, you can play it like once a week or something for a few hours in the evening. So it does work like this. Anyway, guys, I thank you very much for watching this video. I hope to see you in another one. Please give me a like and maybe subscribe to my channel. That would be appreciated. So I see you guys next time, and I'm out.